largest evangelical college in the world.
Later that day, in a scene straight out of American Vandal.
Moral Majority is not a religious organization.
One way you can help me out and show your appreciation back to me is to keep these off my roof.
I will be conducting the greatest banana place anyone has ever seen this semester.
People who hide behind the mask and they're doing bad things, such as the banana vandal, are cowards.
It wasn't anything super elaborate. Someone had just bought about 40 dozen oranges and stuck them on every door. And that's probably about 200-300 doors worth of oranges.
The greatest question of them all. Who is the banana vandal? Hello, my name is Andrew Eisenman, and you're experiencing my documentary series, The Little Red Chair, dedicated to bringing you interesting stories from around the world. We'll have several people on the chair today to answer two vitally important questions to myself and the people around me. Who is the banana vandal, and why did he wage a prank war on Liberty University?
Did I put it on right?
Yeah, you got it.
Like this? Or gotcha.
So, to begin, let's just state your name and who we're here to talk about.
My name is Dryden Glod. I'm a professional magician, and we're here to talk about the banana vandal.
And apparently I'm here to talk about the banana vandal.
Oh yeah, first name The, last name Flame. And we're here to talk about the banana vandal.
And the banana vandal, my opinion.
The banana vandal is probably just some senior guy.
My favorite theory is that it's David Nasser, because that is something I would like to see.
It wasn't me, and I was in Orlando at a conference, so I was not in town. So.
When it started out, I thought it was kind of funny and kind of a good, kind of fun thing to take everyone's mind off of the stress of school.
Maybe engineering student or someone smart, and he's just like, you know what? Why not? I'm gonna do this, and they decide just to have some fun.
It's like Jerry dragging him on stage and then unmasking it to be David Nasser, kind of like a Scooby-Doo type.
I also think that it potentially has gone too far if it's not someone in administration who's doing it. If this is someone who's a student, they might need to back off a little.
Now, what my friends are talking about is a series of pranks that occurred on campus during fall 2018. A prank war is nothing out of the ordinary on a college campus. But this is not an ordinary prank war. It actually was quite extraordinary. On October 15th, the general manager of Sodexo Food Services for Liberty University, Duke Mr. Rott Davis, went up on stage during the school's thrice-weekly gathering, Convocation. While on stage, Mr. Rott asked all of campus to help put a stop to the on and off again tradition of throwing bananas on our dining hall, the Rott.
One way you can help me out and show your appreciation back to me is to keep these off my roof.
Later that day, in a scene straight out of American Vandal, a masked student declared a banana-themed prank war on the school, posting his threats to Twitter and Instagram.
Students of Liberty University, Mr. Rott has called and I have answered. I will be conducting the greatest banana place anyone has ever seen this semester. Throwing bananas on the roof of the Rott was mere child's play. I will conduct the greatest banana place anyone has ever seen and bring about the Banana Republic.
He went even so far as to reply directly to Mr. Rott on Twitter, escalating the drama. The Vandal stated in no uncertain terms that his goal was to start a banana republic on the LU campus, and that he would enact 3 distinctive and memorable pranks on the school. The first prank was a simple one. On October 26th, the campus woke up to find several gigantic inflatable bananas on the roof of our dining hall, accompanied by the Vandals' quite literal calling card. The second prank was even more daring. Once again, the campus woke up to a prank. This time, the school's infamous Freedom Tower was the target. 2 gigantic tarps with painted bananas on them hung from the tower for several hours throughout the night and into the morning. And finally, during Christmas convocation, as the school was about to announce who they thought was their suspect, the banana vandal struck. He hid 500 bananas with $20 bills in them, $1,000, all over campus, proving in the end that he was untouchable. In order to see where this all began, we have to go back to the beginning, which means, of course, we must start with memes. Merriam-Webster holds 2 different definitions of memes, both of these being relevant. 1. An idea, behavior, style, or usage that spreads from person to person within a culture. 2. An amusing or interesting item, such as a captioned picture or video, or genre of items that is spread widely online, especially through social media. In contrast, the ever-helpful Urban Dictionary defines memes as the cure for depression. In our investigation into the banana vandal, we will be combining these 2 definitions into one. We will be defining memes as such. A meme is an idea, behavior, style, or interesting item, such as a captioned picture or video, that is spread widely within a culture or online subculture. The story of the banana vandal is the story of memes in the form of these actions, styles, pictures, videos, online subcultures, and events of one single school, Liberty University.
I would describe Liberty, to someone who's never been here before, as
the largest evangelical college in the world. Liberty University isn't really a university.
So Liberty is a lot more complex than you originally believed.
And Jerry Falwell, and Jerry Falwell, and Jerry Falwell, and Jerry Falwell.
Liberty University is a one-of-a-kind school in Lynchburg, Virginia. It's a non-profit Christian university.
From the first day that I stepped foot on this campus, I knew I was in a special place.
a school that cultivates a healthy Christian environment while also maintaining a lot of the fun you could have at other schools that might not be as religiously centered.
The most caring, thoughtful, appreciative students that I've ever worked in. I've worked in 7 different universities.
The community here is really great. There's great people to get to know and really awesome people.
A bit of a bubble, a bit of like a sheltered environment, but in a way that's kind of good. Like we don't deal with a lot of issues that we have at a lot of other colleges, and though people kind of complain about the rules on campus and whatever, it kind of creates a much safer, much healthier environment.
Very large. Liberty University is very large.
There is a big, big tower that was not here when I got here, and it is here now.
I see.
Liberty University is where I go to school. It has a student body of roughly 15,000 students and has 94,000 online students around the world. It's a Christian university, which means most of our curriculum is filtered through the lens of the Bible. Now, this on its own would make us pretty divisive, but we actually follow a traditional Baptist theology, which, as you can imagine, tends to attract a lot of political conservatives, all the way from our bus drivers to the school president, Jerry Falwell Jr. Because of this, a lot of media tends to take a lot of pot shots at us, and that creates a pretty divisive atmosphere and has greatly affected our subculture here. The school was originally founded in 1971 by famous pastor Jerry Falwell Sr.
Right now, Jimmy Carter is preparing to get into the presidential limousine. He will be making his concession speech.
President Carter, told by his pollster Pat Caddell that it is all over, reportedly is preparing to concede defeat to Ronald Reagan in the 1980 presidential election.
Pastor Falwell gained nationwide attention during Reagan's election in 1980 by founding the Christian political advocacy group, the Moral Majority.
Moral Majority is not a religious organization. More than 40 years ago, in my college training for the ministry, I was instructed repeatedly, religion and politics do not mix. If it were, we could not get 72,000 pastors, which includes Jews, Protestants, Catholics, Mormons, fundamentalists, etc., together without a blood battle. The premise, I suppose, theologically was that ideally, if we meet the spiritual needs of society, we automatically, as a side benefit, cure the political and social ills. Idealistically, that's a correct premise. But in reality, it doesn't work out that way. The fact is that it's political. It's a very political organization, and one's membership is based upon citizenship in this country and a commitment to a pro-life, pro-traditional family, pro-moral, and pro-American position.
Under our definition of memes, one of the earliest examples of a mass-distributed meme would be political cartoons. Ben Franklin is thought to have invented the genre in his 1754 cartoon, Join or Die, which he published in the Pennsylvania Gazette. Fast forward to the 1980s, and political cartoons were alive and well, so when Pastor Falwell decided to bring religion into politics, he became a favorite of many talented artists.
My wife and I have an album at home. We collect all the cartoons about Jerry Falwell. I've been harpooned by everybody at least once. And we are amused by every one of them, and we gather them as a hobby. I have never in my life been incensed by a single one. I've never been led to believe that any of them were malicious or were designed to inflict emotional injury until in the Washington airport I first saw a pre-publication copy of the Larry Flint Campari ad, which was handed me by a member of the media. Riding the plane home, I read the ad. I landed in Lynchburg, Virginia, called Roy Grutman and said, "Get him."
The Reverend Falwell spoke out against me for 15 years on his old-time gospel hour. And then we did a satire on him in the magazine, which was rather unflattering, and he didn't like that. So he sued me, and we fought for another 4 years in court, and it became a landmark Supreme Court decision.
Our top story tonight. For the rest of my life, I'll be as lonely as Pat Robertson and Jerry Falwell after the rapture.
This is the first major instance of memes having a major impact on the Falwell family and Liberty University. Or is it? And what most people outside of Lynchburg don't realize is that the Falwells were infamous pranksters. While I couldn't find anyone willing to do an interview about Pastor Falwell to corroborate this, he is legendary around campus for pranking those on staff that he considered friends, and the atmosphere that he created greatly affected the culture of the students. This is perhaps best represented by LU alum Robbie Heiner.
I came to Liberty in 1971. And we walked in. I said, Dad, there's no school here. There's no dorms. There's no classrooms. He said, sing your song for the music pastor, and I did. And Dr. Falwell called me, and a few weeks later gave me a scholarship, and I came back to Lynchburg in 1972. And Dr. Falwell said, Robbie, get a haircut, and I got my haircut, and he got me a suit. And he put me in a little group called the Lynchburg Baptist College Chorale, and I sang in that group, and Jerry all of a sudden started using me as a soloist. And every Sunday morning I'd stand up and sing my solo, and he'd put his arm around me and he'd say, this is the type kid we turn out at our school. And in my mind I said, oh, brother. It was in the church's old church sanctuary. That's where we had commencement. And they invited a real conservative pastor named Jack Hiles to speak. I took a Wallensack tape recorder, me and a buddy of mine, we put 20 minutes of blank tape on it, and then Alice Cooper, and we hid it in the baptistry and put a sound system in the baptistry. It was great. When the keynote speaker got up to speak, Alice Cooper started screaming his guts out. It was terrific. And so Dr. Falwell got up and said, we often get leakage in our sound system from the radio station. Then they cut the PA off, but Alice was still cranking. He was just singing away. I was in the balcony underneath the pew. What? And a bunch of preacher boys in double-knit suits were running up and down the aisles looking for the Alice Cooper. Finally, one found him in the baptistry and held up the tape recorder and cheered. Well, Dr. Falwell was not amused. And I left, I snuck out and went home, and he called my dad and said, is Robbie there? And Dad said, yes. He said, tell him to get up here.
Get his bags and
yes.
Get his
right. And so
Liberty Way document.
They asked, it was graduation day, and they said, you will not be receiving your diploma, and I didn't. But a few weeks later, on the airplane with Dr. Falwell going to raise money for the school, he gave me my degree.
Not only were the early years in the 70s full of jokes and memes on campus, but the 80s were as well, when Pastor Falwell's son, Jerry Jr., arrived at the school as a freshman. In one of the student body's favorite stories about Jerry to tell, he once created a fake roommate to do his chores. Back in the 80s, The Hill, the oldest dorm still standing on campus, was a 4-person dorm, not the 3-person dwelling that it is now, and room checks were much more frequent and strict at that time. When Jerry and his roommates arrived for their freshman year, they found that their 4th roommate never showed up. Instead of reporting this to the RA, they assigned all of the jobs to him and let their chores lapse. When their RA would ask who he was, they would point at people getting into cars or entering buildings, saying, that's him, you just missed him. When that stopped working, they said that he'd gone home for a family emergency and that he had to take care of his younger siblings now. By the end of the semester, the joke had gotten so out of hand that Jerry Jr. and his buddies found themselves in front of school administration being asked if their poor roommate and his family needed any financial assistance. That's when Jerry had to come clean. This story is just one of many about Jerry Jr.'s college years that the students tell each other when they're incredibly bored. So the Falwells were pretty infamous for their pranks and their politics. But how did that affect their school? They made a culture where it was okay to make fun of your own school, even when the whole rest of the world was cracking jokes at it, poking fun of it, and making it seem illegitimate. And that would go on to shape how their pranks and their memes worked as a student body. This is the rot. This is where our chapter on banana memes will truly begin. The Rot was officially titled the Reber Thomas Dining Hall in the early 2000s because it was sponsored by the Marriott. But as a joke, the student body pretty quickly just shortened it to The Rot. Do you enjoy eating at The Rot?
That depends.
The Rot? I don't mind The Rot. I think it's actually pretty good.
I eat there every day.
I'll be honest, I've been to the Rot maybe 5 times this year total.
I think a lot of people give it a critiques it deserves. I think a lot of people give it critiques that it doesn't deserve either.
It's just the inconvenience of walking into the rot. But for the most part, no, I don't enjoy eating at the rot.
The meal plan at Liberty typically works. If you're on campus, hopefully you're getting the unlimited swipes. So with that, you can go to the rot as much as you want, you know, once every hour. So like they clock you on the hour. And then if you're off campus, such as myself, I have a meal plan that's 90 plus swipes. So I just have 90 swipes to use throughout the whole semester.
So I do enjoy eating at the rot on occasion. I have the plus swipe plan, so I love like Chick-fil-A. Like, it's my weakness. So yes, at times, usually because I live on the hill, so sometimes it's really convenient to go eat at the rot. Other times I'm just really feeling some of their French fries and stuff like that. But a lot of times no. So I'll put it at like 20-30% I enjoy eating at the rot.
I do enjoy eating at the rot. The rot is a swipe, which is the best part. You know, it doesn't cost any money. And usually I don't like buffets, but like in the rot style buffet, you know, there's something for everyone. And it's not just like with other colleges where yes, they have something for everyone, but only 2 of the things are good. At the rot, in my personal opinion, is everything at the rot is very good.
I enjoy eating at the rot. I enjoy the fact that I can have however much food I want. The people in the back of the rot are literally producing food, so much food for an entire college campus that's like huge. You can't imagine that every bit of food is going to be perfect, but I don't know, it's food. I enjoy it. I generally enjoy food just as food. So maybe I'm not the best person to say, but I think it holds up pretty well.
Well, I can tell you this, that in the dining hall, we serve close to 10,000 meals a day. And that I would say that'd be Monday through Friday. On the weekends, that number probably drops down to about 6,000 a day. But throughout campus alone, when you add retail into the concepts, all the retail locations we have, I mean, that's an additional 20,000 meals on campus. Yeah, it's a lot of food.
So do you have a mission statement that you and your team try to follow specifically?
Yes. Well, I mean, it's not written in stone, but one of the things that I pride ourselves on doing is not being complacent. Always striving to be better every day and looking at opportunities to bring more innovation and more improvements to our dining services on campus. So if I had to put that as my mission statement, that would be it. Don't want to be complacent. You know, there's a lot of schools that become complacent and their students don't get all the new things that we do here. And every semester we try to strive to bring something new to the students. So what we did in the fall, we look to introduce something new in the spring. And then when we go through the summer, we like to do something so when the students come back in the fall, there's something brand new to campus.
In the early 2010s, the rot memes began in earnest. The first major meme was the gum tree. The gum tree was a small tree outside of the rot. For a long time, it was insignificant. Then one day, a student put their gum on the tree. Then another did. And then another. And then another. Before anyone in administration could head it off, the gum tree was a new meme and tradition on campus. Facilities would clean the tree, and a few days later, the students would coat the tree in gum all over again. While the gum tree was the first of the rot-related memes, it was also the earliest known prank in a significant buildup of memes on Liberty's campus. In 2011, Liberty student Joey Nickerson started a new meme on campus, the Jerry Jokers. Every big sports game, the Jerry Jokers put on red, white, and blue face paint, reminiscent of Heath Ledger's Joker in support of the school's athlete, eventually going on to gain nationwide recognition during the NCAA tournament this year. On February 4th, 2012, the biggest player of memes on Liberty's campus came onto the scene.
Are you referring to LU memes?
LU memes on Facebook.
LU memes. The next year, on February 17th, 2013, a new page entered the scene, LU Crushes.
So LU Crushes is a Facebook page. Our main thing is that we get people to send in, we call them submissions, and it's about people that they like on Liberty's campus. So say you saw this really cute girl on the 71 bus and you wanted to say, hey, girl on the 71 bus who was talking about this thing. I think you're really cute. Coffee sometime? And you hope that someone tags them. Or it's, this person on my hall is really cute. Or, this person in my classes is really cute. And occasionally a bit more of funny things, like there's a couple of recurring, we call them our page's trolls, but it's not in the negative sense, but it's people who just comment funny things or just kind of poke fun at submissions. I wanted to be a mod on LU Crushes because honestly, for me, LU Crushes is a place where at the end of the day, people just come together and we laugh and we figure out, oh, this person likes me, or this friend of mine is being posted about, and we see funny little things, and I just wanted to make people laugh. We do occasionally interact with the other meme pages. Most notably, it's LU memes. Every once, and it's a lot more recently. They'll post something about, like, look at someone how Jerry looks at Nasser, or find someone who looks at you like Jerry looks at Nasser, and they'll tag us. Or every once in a while, we'll just post like a straight up meme on our page, and they'll comment on it, just like, nice meme, or something like that. So it's just sort of a thing that's there. We don't like specialize in memes, but we are a significant part of like Liberty online culture. So it's just we're kind of there, and everyone just kind of knows about us. And like at the tree lighting ceremony, I think it was a week ago now, they mentioned like, yeah, this is probably going to end up on LU Crushes tonight. So it's like administration knows about us. So while we may not post memes every single day, we are definitely involved in the culture.
But God the Father, God the Spirit, and God the Son are in cahoots.
In 2014, famed pastor David Nasser came to work at Liberty University. As the face of convocation, Nasser quickly became a target for traditional internet memes. On July 5th, 2015, Jerry Falwell Jr., now president of Liberty University, posted a picture of himself riding a horse. This picture would go on to be one of the most used memes in Liberty University history. Like many things in life, the story of memes at Liberty is cyclical. As the year 2016 approached, the Falwells once again dived headfirst into politics. During a Monday morning convocation on January 18, 2016, not yet President Donald J. Trump spoke on the election and religious liberty. That morning, he received Jerry Jr.'s full endorsement for the White House.
Over the last few years, my wife and I have remained in close contact with Donald Trump and with his special counsel who accompanied him here in 2012. As our friendship has grown, so has my admiration for Mr. Trump. Whenever we were in New York, we were asked to drop by and say hello at the Trump Tower on Fifth Avenue. Mr. Trump was loyal to his friends, even new friends like us. As you know, Liberty University does not support or oppose candidates for public office, and Mr. Trump's appearance here should not be interpreted by any as an endorsement by Liberty, but should not be interpreted by any as an endorsement by liberty, but
should not be interpreted by any as an endorsement.
This, of course, started up a lot of the old memes and talk about the Falwells. It also generated one of the internet's favorite Donald Trump memes.
And I asked Jerry and I asked some of the folks, because I hear this is a major theme right here, but 2 Corinthians, right? 2 Corinthians 3:17, that's the whole ball game.
Donald Trump today doing his best to court the evangelical vote, but some are actually saying that he might have hurt himself here a little bit. Joining me now.
Trump loves the Bible so much he doesn't even need to read it, apparently, because he had a little trouble with the name of one of the books of the Bible, 2 Corinthians.
The meme culture of and around Liberty University would remain largely the same for the next year, except for a small hiccup about dancing on campus and the campus reaching a 10% infection rate for the flu. The memes focused mostly on either political convos or homework. Until on February 15th, 2017, a new meme would change the meme landscape of the school forever. That day, a random student threw a banana on the roof of the Rot. As the day got on, more and more students followed suit, enjoying the joke. By the end of the day, the entire roof was coated in bananas. It was a seafall weekend, so most of the students didn't think much of it outside of one meme. But administration certainly did.
You never really noticed the roof of the dining hall until they opened up the Montview Student Union. Because once we opened up Montview Student Union, they graded up the road that leads up to the Montview. So at that point in time, now that they graded it up and they built the sidewalk and they raised the road itself, now you're capable of seeing the top of the roof. Well, beforehand, you couldn't see the top of the roof of the dining hall. So no one would know to throw bananas on there. So now it's in eye view. It's become a little bit of an issue. And this problem started 2 years ago. We got a phone call from one of the professors across the street from the dining hall in the science building, said, hey, you have like 20 bananas on your roof. And we walked outside and we're like, what is going on? And so we had to have facilities come out and clean off the roof. You know, you have to put a work order to, to get that done. And then, someone's got to get a ladder and get up on the roof and clean up the mess. And to get back down and then be done. And all of a sudden, next day, you've got another 20 bananas up on the roof. So it became a real problem. And to the point where facilities was like, hey, listen, if you don't curtail this problem, we're not going to send people up on the roof. We have other things we need to concentrate on campus. So that's why I threatened to take bananas away. And then eventually I had to take them away. I took them away for like 3 weeks.
Yeah, well, people were upset.
Yeah. But they had to understand that there's a risk involved with that. What students would see as a funny prank became a little bit of a risk and liability for someone who had to get up there and clean off the roof, especially during the winter months. When you have frost on the tops of the roof, someone could slip and fall off the roof. And I know how the students are here, that they would be thoroughly devastated if they knew that their little prank of throwing a banana on the roof and someone who went up there to clean it up slipped and fell and then hurt themselves. I mean, they would be very upset. And so I just try to communicate to the campus the severity of this. Not only is it wasteful, but we're putting people at risk. And this is such a beautiful campus. This university's invested so much money in growth and development and to make it look the way it is. No one wants to walk around and see like ugly bananas or runny bananas on your roof. I mean, And it's embarrassing when you hear parents who come here for CFAW to say, hey, what's with all the black bananas on the roof?
While the bananas did slow down after they were removed from the rot, that wasn't the end of it. This is the annex, and it's where I lived my freshman year. It's also the site of what some students call the oranging. On March 6, 2017, all of the men woke up to oranges stuck on their dorm door handles.
So the annex, the year of the oranging, as you like to put it. Yeah, generally the annex was kind of similar to how it had always been, but a little more calm, I guess. Typically the annex was kind of known for being kind of a little rowdy, a little all over the place, kind of some reject kids sometimes. I think that particular year it was not as much like that. It was much more mellow. We had a much stronger RD who was overseeing everything and make sure everything ran smoothly. Yeah, Sheldon. And I think generally it was not too bad. I think everything went pretty well. Generally there were two groups of students who lived at the annex. People who couldn't afford to live other places on campus because they were either missionary kids or someone just like from low income, or they just wanted to be left alone. And generally it was kind of, those were your two divisions. So if you want to be left alone, very antisocial, did not talk to many people, were not around a whole lot. If you were on the low end, like on the other side of it, you typically were much more sociable, a really outgoing person. You're just in a scenario where that's where you ended up. Yeah, so it was a weekend, Sunday, so it was kind of, a lot of people I think had gotten up for church. So it was fairly early in the morning. I think I was up at like 7 or 8, pretty early. And it wasn't anything super elaborate. Someone had just bought about like 40 dozen oranges and stuck them on every door. And that's probably about 200-300 doors worth of oranges.
What did you do?
What'd I do? Like when I saw it, I was first of all like, why is my handle sticky? Because my roommate had already gotten up and taken the orange off my door, and then I looked kind of up and down the hallway, and there were just oranges everywhere. So I kind of first was like, why is my door sticky? And then I went, cleaned off my door, and then saw there was all the other ones, so I just kind of went and kind of started cleaning up.
When I asked the resident director, Sheldon, about it, he said that they never caught anyone. They have no idea who did it. Now, that was pretty much the end of it. But like any good joke, someone will always beat it back into the ground and keep it going. And this was no exception. At the end of every semester, the Student Activities holds a student body-wide talent show. It's called Coffee House. And we have it here in the Vine Center, which is where we have convocation and basketball tournaments. Though, as you can see behind me, we are building a new basketball arena. And at the Spring 2017 Coffee House, the Banana Vandal was on full display.
Bananas on the rot. You break my heart with those bananas on the rot.
All right, settle down. All right, settle down. All right, settle down. All right. So, it seems that we have a problem with bananas on the rot. We do.
And that was pretty much the end of it for the year, and time moved on and more memes came on the scene.
I'm the Liberty Way, and you're watching the Disney Channel.
My page is LU Nicknames on Instagram.
My name is The Flame, and I am here at Liberty to make sure students and even faculty make sure they maintain the Liberty Way throughout their time here. And if I see something that goes a little sideways, then I make sure to correct them.
My name is Dryden Glod. I am a professional magician.
And I describe my page as, honestly, perhaps a closer-knit page than, say, Liberty University, or the Liberty Way, or LU Memes on Facebook.
The tradition of the hat was started by my predecessor, Tobias Schwartz. And it was just kind of like a thing that he would do and see if people noticed. At least that was my understanding. He started it before I came here. But he would wear it around campus and he'd get his picture taken by people. And the most notable one was the one that was posted on Facebook of him graduating. He was standing in the line at the graduation wearing the hat. Not this one, I bought this one. So people ask that question a lot.
Fire breathing I learned in high school. It was kind of a stupid story actually. It was like 2 a.m. and I was a senior in high school and I was really bored. So I was like, hey, let's try breathing fire. So I did some research and I ended up just trying it and I started working on it. And then when I decided I was gonna go to Liberty University, I was like, they're the Flames. I bet you they could have a fire breather at the football games. That'd be so cool. So I got a meeting with the athletics director and I talked to them and they're like, well, we already have a guy for football, but we'll keep you updated. So I got to go to a practice and then they actually had me breathe fire at baseball games in the spring of my first year here. But then my sophomore year, they were like, hey, we want to hire you instead to do the fire breathing at the football games. And I was like, absolutely, let's do it. So I got to do some fire breathing at the football games my sophomore year, and then they brought me back this year to do it, and I think we're going to do it again next year.
Back in high school, I moderated memes page for my high school. It was a small high school, but it was still fun. And when I came here, I saw, Liberty University memes and LU memes on Facebook, and, a friend introduced me to them, and I followed them. And I would submit, early on I would submit a lot of memes, and most of them were getting posted. But after a while, I had submitted a few that they had taken down, and they kind of stopped posting almost all of them. So I tried to start up my own Facebook page, which was called LU Vines and Memes. And that didn't really go anywhere, and I'm extremely busy the first semester, so I didn't really have any time to keep it up. Fast forward to fall 2018, I learned about this page that was just like exploding on Instagram called the Liberty Way. And I was like, hold up, I wanted to do that last year, but it never really happened, so I was like, maybe Instagram's where it's at on Facebook nowadays. I mean, obviously, as college students, I'm not really using Facebook as much. Might be able to get a little more traction there, so I started up my own page on Instagram and just all history from there. I also have the LU Bank Lions page that I do.
And what is the Liberty Way?
It is the rules set before us by Jerry Jr.
Do you like the Liberty Way?
For the most part, I agree. Sometimes wearing pants to class when it's 90 degrees out isn't the best, but I understand.
Magic-wise, I've been doing magic for about 8 years now. It's my profession, it's my job, I want to do it for the rest of my life. Liberty-wise, I've gotten to do a couple halftime shows for basketball games. I did one my freshman year, I did one my sophomore year. In fact, I'm doing another one this year, February 26th, I think. We're doing another halftime show, which I'm really excited about.
They commented that he was graduating, and I in turn commented that somebody should uphold the tradition and start wearing the hat. And next thing I knew, he was contacting me saying, so I hear you're volunteering to be the next LU Gandalf. And it just kind of rolled from there. I never actually met him in person, though.
I don't want to be a bad boy. Like, the bad boy or whatever. Like, I post only edgy memes and stuff. But sometimes you need to just poke a little fun at some things, just to keep things lighthearted.
So, this fella, I caught him throwing bananas onto the rot. I think he was just trying to become internet famous and become cool to his peers here at Liberty. And I just caught him in the act, and he actually turned out to be a pretty nice fella, just doing the wrong thing at the wrong time in front of the wrong guy.
Most people who have heard of me say something when I meet them, oh, you're the magician on campus, or you're the fire breather. And I'm like, yeah, that's me. Not all of them do, and some of them just have this kind of look when they're shaking your hand. They're like, and then you can see them piecing it together, and they're like, hey! And I'm like, what's up? And sometimes it's outside of Liberty students too. I mean, I was just, before I came here, I was grabbing Chick-fil-A, and some high schooler was like, are you Dryden Glad, the magician? And I was like, yeah, and he was like, cool. And he just walked away. And I was like, okay, cool.
When I got to campus and started wearing it last semester, the first people to notice obviously were my friends, the people in my classes that I hung out with. And the first comment that was ever made on me wearing the hat was a friend of mine looked at me and she said, what are you wearing on your head? And I said, it's a Gandalf hat. I'm upholding the tradition. And got some very strange looks from the people I was with, but they've gotten used to it by now.
Most of the time, I do not go to class in my costume.
Well, originally I didn't want my name, like my full name, being broadcast, but honestly, like, what's so wrong about a guy walking around campus in a big gray hat?
So, I was actually thinking about this the other day because I posted a meme about Nasser, which got a lot of like negative. It wasn't my meme, but somebody submitted a meme, and I thought it was pretty funny, but it got a lot of negative comments, and so I was thinking about, like, you know, what is a meme? A meme is something you can take that a group of people can relate to, and that you can either, like, poke a little fun at to make it lighthearted, or, you know, something that's relatable enough that people will laugh. And I think that, you know, people were commenting that, hey, hasn't Nasser become a little bit too much of a meme lately? Like, I see he's been coming up a lot. And I mean, the fact is that he speaks in front of basically the entirety of the college at least 2 times a week. He's a very relatable person. Like, not that he's relatable to other students, but we can all relate to the things he says because we all hear it. So, I mean, in that way, yeah, of course he's going to be a meme a lot. And I think that's kind of just the more relatable the thing is, the better the meme is.
Well, we'd be pretty bland if we didn't have all those things like the Jerry Joker and Mr. Gandalf walking around campus. We gotta spice things up, you know. We're a young, creative generation, and, you know, if we're not doing creative things, then we're just being bland and boring, and you don't want to go through college just being boring, do you?
The only reason I'm doing it is to make people smile, really. Like, I'm doing it to uphold a tradition, but at the same time, I want people who are taking life too seriously to be able to look and see a guy pretending to be a wizard and go, oh hey, that guy's funny, I'm going to laugh. You know, that sort of thing. Not that procedure, but it's like, my name doesn't really matter to somebody when they see me. What matters is the fact that I'm wearing a giant hat.
And then, on October 12th, 2018, bananas came back into the spotlight. That day, a student named Malcolm McCoy posted it on Overheard at LU, writing, I'm a new student here, so I saw this banana rotting on top of the rot this morning. Then someone explains to me that this is a tradition you guys do here. Can someone fill me in? Hashtag cultureless, hashtag clueless.
So here's the thing. So I replied because that is not a tradition. That was never a tradition. I mean, the gum tree thing, that was their tradition. That was your tradition. That gum tree thing was here when I got here. But since I had been here, this banana on the roof thing has never been like a trend. It's never been a thing. It's been like some silly prank that someone started 2 years ago, and then, you know, they made it a thing. And so I don't know if they made it a thing to kind of get me going about it, or they just made it a thing because they just thought it was supposed to be done. And, you know, if I fast forward a year later, so last year, we installed a camera to catch students throwing bananas on the roof. And so when that happened, we rolled the video with LUPD, and we found the students, and it happened to be three female students, 3 girls. And so when they were brought in for questioning about it, they said, they were all three of them were freshmen. They said, "Oh, we were told that this is a prank. This is the thing you had to do as a part of your freshman initiation." So, you know, those three young ladies spent a full day with us putting away our delivery truck, coming at 5 o'clock in the morning, and then getting done like 11 or 12 o'clock after lifting boxes, breaking things open, putting things away in a freezing cooler and freezer. It wasn't a fun job for them, but they kind of got the point. And we use them as an example to help educate people that, hey, listen, this is not a prank. This is a wasteful thing. Goes against anything that's right out in the world. Like, it's wastefulness. So when I read that, when I saw that screenshot, I'm like, oh no, don't start this up again.
And when you commented, did you ever expect it to blow up as big as it did?
No.
Yeah.
No. And that's why David Nasser allowed me some time to talk about it in Convocation. So it was important for people to, if they really respect what I do here on campus, this is a little thing that I'm asking them to do, is not throw bananas on the roof. So since I spoke at Convocation, that problem has gone away, and I'm going to knock on wood right now to pray that doesn't start up again.
So after Convocation, you posted a video of you at Convocation. They posted it, and you retweeted it or something. And then the Banana Vandal replied to you. What was going through your head when that happened?
I expected it.
You expected it?
I expected I expected the Banana Vandal to not take that.
Yeah.
To really kind of give his little dig. It's kind of like they wanted to have the last word, which is fine.
So you said you expected that. Did you?
I
knew about him because his page had been created before, but he hadn't really commented on it.
No, because I really wasn't trying to, fuel his energy.
Mm-hmm.
But when I saw that, people said to me, "Hey, have you seen the Banana Vandal Twitter guy?" I said, "No." And they're like, "Oh, there's this dude who has this banana video, and you have to watch it." So then I saw it, and I was like, "This is crazy." And then when he got up on the roof and put the balloon bananas up on the roof as a joke, facilities said, rip them, get them down. So facilities had to take them down.
What is your opinion on the Banana Vandal?
I think it's just someone that just really wants to kind of keep the momentum going. Not so much that he's trying to advocate people to throw bananas on the roof. I think deep down he wants that to stop also. But I think that the Banana Vandal is really someone that is just trying to advocate for bananas itself, just so I don't get rid of them.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of how I see it now. Because the Banana Vandal really isn't about wasting bananas on the roof.
Yeah.
I kind of get that through our banter that we back and forth, that he's not someone, he or she, it's not someone who is looking to get rid of bananas. I think he's just advocating to keep bananas still on campus and let people know bananas is still important, but there's no reason for them to be thrown on the roof.
So you've had this banter back and forth in comment sections with him. Has he ever tried messaging you directly?
Yes.
He has?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you know who they are?
I have an idea.
You have an idea?
Yes.
Were you comfortable saying who you think it is?
No.
Okay.
It was right after he did his first prank, which was the inflatable bananas on the rot. We were like, okay, what is this guy's deal? This is really weird. And then we looked at the video and did our best to study it. The background he had. I tried to do a reverse pitch, which I looked up, and it's impossible because in the video he used a pitch adjuster to make his voice deeper, and it's impossible to reverse that in any way.
We conducted the greatest banana pranks anyone has ever seen.
So that didn't work. We tried to study the video he took at Convo when Mr. Rott was calling him out, we found out that section was from somebody on East. Like, we just kind of angled it with the screen, and like you could tell from like the master printout they have of where people sit. And so we're like, all right, the guy's gotta be from East. And so I said to my friends, I'm like, listen, the Banana Vandal said part 1 out of 3. So that means there's obviously 2 more parts coming, and there's a week left of school. So he's gonna need to start doing this quick, and it was Seafall. And so the next morning, and convocation, and I said to them, I'm like, you know, where are the most people after convocation? Where are they going? To the Rot. So that would be the perfect time to, you know, pull another prank on the Rot, because that would get the most amount of views with all the Seafall students and parents and regular students and faculty all going to the Rot to eat. So what we did is we waited till around 12 o'clock after curfew. My friend who lives on campus had signed out, and then my friend and I live off campus, so curfew wasn't an issue. And then we drove up to the roof of the parking garage, because from there, we had also studied his video and found out, you know, where he put up the ladder. You know, it was right against one of the loading docks out back, so we figured if he's going up there again, he'd probably go the same way, because he got away with it and didn't get caught. So like, it's something that he felt was safe for him, so he was like guaranteed to get back on the roof of the Rot. So we're on top of the parking garage, and like, we just have a full view of the roof of the Rot. And we're just in my friend's truck. We went to Sheetz before, we picked up snacks. I had bought binoculars off of Amazon for this very purpose. It was an old-fashioned stakeout.
All right, here we are. We're out here on the hunt for the Banana Vandal. We got Brandon Lefevre, Detective John Ludwig, and yours truly. So, Brandon, tell me what the game plan is right now.
Well, right now, we're waiting for them to close up the Rot. We noticed there's a bay open in the loading dock, so we're waiting for them to do that, and then hopefully we'll be able to move over to the Divinity Tower to get a better look. But until then, we're just gonna be waiting here until that happens.
Great. All right, John, tell us what we know. What do we know so far? Well, we know he likes to wear a mask. Oh! My bad. What do we know so far?
We know that he likes to wear a mask. We know that he likes to hide behind something. We know that last time he struck, he did it on a Friday. And we know that he's really craving attention, and we think that because this weekend is Seafall, and because he wants the most views as he can, he would do it on a day where most people would be going to the Rot, which would be the Friday of a Seafall, because everybody after convocation goes to the Rot. So we think tonight is a prime night, and considering he made an announcement 2-3 days ago saying, you know, phase 2 is ready, I think that this is just a prime time for him to commit some sort of horrendous act against R. Reaver Thomas.
Excellent. The time is 12:26. We'll keep you updated.
We vlogged the whole night. One of the reasons is if we caught him, it'd be really awesome. 2, if Loopty ever came after us, which will part 2 of this story, we'll have something to cover our backs, you know. And then at around 2 a.m., they had finally shut the door, like one of the loading docks in the Rot. Like, they weren't even closed until 2 a.m. And so right around when 2 a.m. hits, they close the door. We all look at each other and they're like, they just closed the door. Like, you know, it's got to be happening soon. So we waited, and then 3 a.m. came, and like nothing happened. 4 a.m. rolls around, and then deliveries start coming in. So we're like, you know, he's probably not going to do it. And then so, actually before that, these 2 guys who will remain nameless, mostly because I didn't tell them about this, they came up to us.
All right, Brandon, what's the steps? What's the plan now?
All right.
Actually, no, wait. First, John, give us the update.
Okay, here's what happens. We're sitting in this car, right? We're waiting. It's about 2:30. I'm like falling asleep. And these 2 guys walk up to the car, and they knock on our window. That's weird, man. We're in a parking garage at 3 in the morning. Like, what? Knocks on the window. They go, oh, you guys looking for the banana dude? And we're like, no.
Yeah, we are.
Maybe. And this idiot holding the camera goes, yeah, that's exactly what we're doing. And they go like, oh, wow, yeah. And I go to them like, oh, you guys are the guys, right? And they're like, oh, yeah. Anyway, long story short, these guys stood by our car for like 10-15 minutes just trying to be like, man, what would happen? You know, what do you think? You know, they were very suspicious. We're pretty sure we caught them. We got their names, their address. We got everything that we need. But we're going to make sure that this might be them. So we're actually heading there right now.
And then with the binoculars, like, we're watching, and then the car was gone. And then all of a sudden, you know, we're watching, 10, 15 minutes later, the car comes back. and it goes up the first floor, up the second floor, and we don't see it again. So I'm like, I'm going down there. And this whole time I'm wearing a GoPro on my chest. So I have just video of me running into the parking garage. So my friend and I, we go down there and we're looking around. You know, it was all like James Bond, like I'm hiding against the wall, I'm giving him hand signals. And then Brandon, he's up on the hill, like with the binoculars looking out for us. And then we get a phone call. He's like, dude, Loopty just pulled into the parking garage. And then so we're like, uh-oh. And so we tried to go back to the exit, and then we heard the officer, you know, you could hear like, you just classic like keys jingling, somebody walking down the stairs. So we're like, oh no, and then we ran around and like hopped out, not even like the stairs, like the little openings in between the parking garage. And then we ran out there, and then we went back up on the hill, and we were like, all right, let's just go home. So we went home, very disappointed. This is around 4 a.m. Luckily for me, I did not have classes Friday, but unluckily for John, he's a CGL, so he had to wake up and go to Convo the next morning, I think. I don't know if he skipped or not. So then we're like, we're really disappointed, and then the next day, we're all exhausted, and then we come up with this crazy idea to try and find the car that we saw the people went in, because we're all convinced that it's them. So we ended up the next night finding the car is in the way back of the pit.
All right, it's an update. We're day 2. What time is it?
All right, we are day 2. It's 1:14. We're back at it again. So after last night's events, we are betting on that those guys that we talked to last night, that they may not be the Banana Vandals. So we're waiting to see if they'll come back. We identified their car again tonight. We saw them parked all the way back in the pit. So we're just gonna be doing a rotation tonight. We're gonna be checking up on that car now that we know where it is. But if at any point during tonight, if it's gone, chances are we got ourselves a Banana Vandal.
Your take, kid. Tell me brutally honest truth.
Well, as much as I'd like to think that those 2 guys last night really were the Banana Vandals, and it's very likely they could be, there is some evidence that would support that maybe they aren't. For example, they are on leadership, they're RA and RSs, which are 2 paid positions, and if you get in trouble, you're going to lose those scholarships. So that they have that against them. You know, I know people that know them. It doesn't seem like they would do something like that from the people that know them. So where they were parked in the back of the pit too, just doesn't make sense if they were parked somewhere. Like, why would they decide to start there if they left at 1 and then not get that spot back at 3? They would go all the way to the back of the pit. It's just a strange thing. There's all that happening too. So I think it's a long shot. I do think it could be a long shot, but I mean, we have some evidence, but it really could go either way.
There you go. We'll check up with you later.
And then so we're basically staking out the car all night. So and then around 2 a.m. rolls around, and like there's some people still going in and out. There's some guy in a truck right behind us, and like he ends up leaving. And then we're waiting there, and then nobody shows up to the car. And then at about 2:04, 2 LUPD officers show up, have the, their little bright spotlights on us, and then like they park, and then they come up to the window. Thankfully, they did not come up to my window, because I'd be like, what seems to be the problem, officer? That's what I would have said. And then they come up to Brandon's window, and Brandon and John, they're both very smooth talkers. And so he's like, what are you boys doing tonight? I don't know why. This is a life lesson. Always tell the police the truth. So we were like, we're just hanging. Like, imagine how bad that sounds. And he's like, just hanging, huh? He's like, the pit is officially the Gwyn lot. So he says, is that the cool thing to do these days? Just hang in the Gwyn lot at 2 a.m.? We were like, and then Brandon said to him, or John said to him, you're probably not gonna believe this, but we're actually here looking for the Banana Vandal. And then he was like, what? And like he leans into the window and he knows, and he says, you know how stupid that sounds? And right there, all of our hearts just like dropped. We're like, oh my gosh, we're gonna get thrown in jail tonight for looking for the Banana Vandal, and then he's gonna get away with it. We're just trying to do our civil duty. And then luckily, I'm like, wait a minute. We vlogged the whole night. So I show him the vlog, and then the other officer walks up, and like he's watching the vlog, and then all of a sudden he just goes to his walkie-talkie. He's like, yeah, negative, they're not dangerous. And then he's like, well, you guys students, and like we gave him our flames passes, and then he was like, and then he called it, an old-fashioned stakeout is what we're doing. He was like, you guys want to be cops? We were like, not really, we just want to catch this guy. And then we just started talking about it a little bit, kind of asked him what he knew, and he said he didn't know anything. And then like he said to his partner, like, these guys are fine. Because another thing was all the windows were fogged up. So like I'm turning on the heat and like the defroster trying to get the fog away. And then like him and his cop buddy are like, all right, you guys have a good night. And after that we were like, I don't want to do this anymore, so we just drove home.
And this is where I enter the narrative. While talking about the first prank with some friends, I decided to make a documentary about everything that was going on. I DM'd the Vandal for an interview, but he never replied.
And then 2 days later, he did the big signs on the Freedom Tower, to which we then went up and we found the little tile that he hid the flags under, and we were like, oh my gosh, this does lift off. Like, this is a great place to hide things. And then after that, we were like, you know, whatever he does, he'll just get away with it, because nobody's gonna catch him.
I don't know where he got this ginormous banner, who produced it, where he got it from, but I mean, whoever it is, I mean, they're spending a lot of money to really fuel this whole thing.
After the tower, everyone waited with bated breath for what would come next. Would it be during Seafall? Would he hit the new business school? Halloween parties? Would he attack the annual Christmas tree lighting? Even our school paper was covering it.
So this actually happened. I was accused of being the Banana Vandal. I think it was, so it was on Halloween night that I saw something about like the Banana Vandal was gonna be exposed soon or something like that. And I was at the Snowflakes party. And I was like, I saw my phone, I was like, okay, got it. And then I was like, I'm kind of curious to who they're gonna say it is. And then a couple days later, they posted a picture with the Banana Vandal from his video, but with my face like cut out and pasted onto it. And I was like, okay. I mean, I'm a really goofy guy, and I love going, like, I go cliff jumping and stuff like that. And I love doing like crazy stuff around campus. And I was like, I wish it was me. And I was like, because I was trying to figure out, I wanted to respond to the post in a way that didn't make me seem guilty. Because if I was like, nah, it's not me, I knew I'd sound guilty. But if I was like, so I figured I had to kind of steer into the skit a little bit. So I just commented something like, I wish, but I couldn't take credit for such awesome work. Shout out to the @BananaVandal. And then the post was taken down in like a couple of hours and it's just gone. So.
On the eve of Christmas Convo, the only convocation never streamed by the university, the Vandal posted a simple video. In this video, he put a $20 bill in a banana and placed it in a pile of other bananas, saying, "Planning for the final stage of establishing the Banana Republic is complete. Stay tuned, banana emoji." At every Christmas Convo, the university performs skits and puts on funny videos about what happened on campus that fall. Heads of content and semi-regular MCs of Convo, the twins, debuted their documentary on who they thought the Banana Vandal was. Right as they were going to reveal who they thought that it was, right as they had him with them in the room, the real Banana Vandal posted his final prank.
So there's one question left. Who is the Banana Vandal? We interviewed a ton of people, even way more than we put into this video. And while nothing's really definitive, we do have a pretty solid theory. Okay, so we made this video, and we spent a lot of time making this video, and we put together this crazy, complicated theory to show you, and it got ruined this morning by the Banana Vandal.
Yeah, that's right. We had an idea. We had a pretty good idea who it was, and that person's actually in this room right now. But the Banana Vandal rocked while we were in Christmas Convo.
Yeah, he posted during Christmas Convo, and we had like eyes on this dude, so we don't even want to throw him under the bus. But if you check your Instagram out, last prank's pretty cool.
Here's what you do need to know about it, is that apparently there's hundreds of bananas all over campus right now, and each one of them is stuffed with cash. So as you guys are leaving Christmas Convo today, maybe you guys will find some cash.
He hid 500 bananas with $20 bills in them all across campus, supposedly. I have yet to find someone who actually found some of this cash. And with that, it was over. After he upstaged administration at Christmas Convo, Coffee House came and went. There were no big reveals, no other pranks, and I just went about my business and kept trying to find interviews for this documentary. Early on, I tried getting in touch with Mr. Rott, but nothing worked until I ran into him walking to my car. So I got my lucky break there. Before the fall semester was over, I interviewed several more people as well. After the break, it was pretty clear that administration was done talking about the Vandal. Nasser, Jerry, the twins, and even the Falwell Museum declined interviews on the Banana Vandal or our meme culture here at the school. They didn't even want to talk about Jerry's past. I've talked with dozens and dozens of people about who the Banana Vandal is at this point. I've interviewed meme page moderators, Mr. Rott, and people publicly accused of being the Vandal. But there is something that I haven't shared with you yet. The Smith interview. Can you just state whatever name you're going to use?
Dan Smith.
Dan Smith.
Yep.
So my friend reached out to me and he said, hey, this guy I know, let me start over. So my friend reached out to me and he said, hey, this guy I know has something to say about the Banana Vandal. That's all I know. So you can kind of tell me why you're here.
Yeah, for sure. So essentially, while I am not the Banana Vandal, people have assumed through various videos and things that I've said that I have some connection to the Banana Vandal. And so, being one of those people, recommended me to you, so here I am to talk about the Banana Vandal.
So what have you done that makes people think that you're the Banana Vandal?
So the first thing that tips people off is I have a suspicious amount of knowledge about what's happened with the Banana Vandal. And a video came out on social media on one of my accounts of me with a suspicious amount of money that the next week thousands of dollars were spent in hiding bananas all over Liberty's campus, and people think that I had something to do with putting the money in the bananas. Yeah.
But you didn't?
I can't say either way.
Okay, so people think you're the Banana Vandal.
People have thought that, yeah, but I don't want to take any credit where credit is due. I'm not the Banana Vandal, as much as sometimes I wish I was. But I do know a thing or two about it.
Okay. So why did you want to meet with me?
Well, I figured there would just be a fun way to maybe get some more hype behind the Banana Vandal.
So I know you're not going to talk about who you think the Banana Vandal is, but what's your favorite theory that you've seen students do? What's the funniest theory?
I think my favorite theory that they have is that it's someone connected to leadership, whether that's Mr. Rott or Jerry himself. I just love to see the conspiracy theories that they're doing that to try and get people excited about bananas or something like that. I think it's really funny.
Yeah. That is kind of stupid, isn't it?
It is. But I mean, it makes sense, you know, kind of a little bit.
Yeah. What do you think of like the twins video? Did you go to Christmas Convo?
I did, yes.
What did you think of the twins video? I thought it was really funny.
I loved it. That was great.
So I'm trying to dig at what you really want to say.
Let's see. I think what I can say is that the Banana Vandal, it's a bigger operation than people think it is. You know, when you've got someone ordering tons of 6-foot-long inflatable bananas, hiding giant posters in the Freedom Tower, and hiding in a bathroom for hours, that's not just something that you can think of overnight. That's taking weeks of training and planning things out, and you know, some people even think that there could possibly be aliases buying all the material for these pranks, simply because, you know, you don't want to have it linked back to any certain person that they could find at Liberty University. So I think what makes it unique is that there's just so much behind the scenes work that may or may not go on behind this, and the genius who is himself the Banana Vandal.
What's your opinion on Mr. Rott?
Mr. Rott, so as a Sodexo employee myself, I think Mr. Rott is great. What he's done with the dining on this campus is fantastic. I mean, I've been to a few other colleges here and there, and I've seen their dining options, and it's nothing compared to Liberty. We just have so much here. It's like whatever kind of food you want, we have it. And there's just so much of it spread around campus that no matter where you are, you're never that far away from food. So I think Mr. Rott's done a fantastic job with the dining facilities here.
And so you're a fan of the Banana Vandal.
Oh yeah.
What do you think about the stress and anxiety that kind of caused to Mr. Rott? Because, you know, like, he's a great guy, he's done so much for this campus, and like, this prank isn't victimless. You know, he and his staff, they have to clean up after a lot of it. Loop-D probably cleaned up the tower, you know.
You know what? I think it's great. The Banana Vandal hasn't done anything that's going to take more than maybe 10 minutes to reverse. With the bananas on top of the Rott, when it comes down to it, all you have to do is just take them off the roof. And I think it's a fun, harmless way to try and just get the hype back into the bananas on the Rott. That's just such a staple at Liberty University that I think it would be a shame to have that just disappear and not have new students find joy in that. So I think it's fun. I don't think Mr. Rott really has too much to worry about.
I'm going to be frank with you. This interview made me extremely uncomfortable. I have no way of confirming if Smith actually worked with the Banana Vandal, and I'm honestly not sure what that interview was even about. He claimed to know who they are and be working with them, but he was also fine with his face being on camera, but he didn't want his real name to be used. He wanted to use a fake name.
Just a question before we start. For the interview, am I allowed to make up a fake name so that there's no connections to anything?
Yes.
Sweet. Awesome.
You're not
Good, yeah. Yeah.
And you don't want your actual face that we're recording right now used in the video. You want me to make...
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? Yeah.
He kept taking Snapchats and other pictures from the interview seat. It was really strange. And I don't know if he was using me, if he wanted attention, if he thought it was funny, if the Banana Vandal was so annoyed at my constant interview requests that he was like, just go mess with him, you know. But what I do know is that he put me in a morally responsible spot when he told me about the fourth prank. When I began this documentary, I liked the Banana Vandal. I thought he was funny. I thought it was just a joke. And by the end of it, my opinions have changed. This project is still a fun project. That's what it was from the start, just a fun, relaxing project. But now it's something different, I guess. It became something different. When I went through the process of doing this interview, especially when talking with Mr. Rott, I realized that what the Banana Vandal did was completely wrong and morally irresponsible and a crime. He trespassed, he broke and entered, he destroyed property when he pulled the banners out of the bottom of the tower. When he put the banners on the outside of the tower, someone had to go up there and take those off, which is not completely safe depending on how you do it. When he put those inflatable bananas on the roof, he put them on the slanted part. And when you do that, someone has to go climb on that slanted roof several feet off the ground in an extremely windy part of campus. And they've already nearly lost people just cleaning up bananas, let alone giant 6-foot-long bananas. And so when he said that there was a fourth prank, I was now the one person who might know about it, who actually realizes that it could be dangerous, who isn't participating in it. And so I had to make a hard call. In the end, I gave Mr. Rott all of the raw footage of the interview and let him report it to Loopty if he thought that that's what was right. I saw Smith walking on campus earlier this week. It's been several weeks since I did that, like 2 or 3 months, so I know he was never expelled. This documentary is about who the Banana Vandal is, and I've tried to do my best to answer that for you. There are a lot of different theories, that it's marketing, that it's David Nasser, that it's a magician, a graduating senior, or even that it's me. All of these are fantastic theories, but they aren't who he is. You see, at the end of the day, who the Banana Vandal is very simple. He's the winner. The Banana Vandal stated his goal pretty clearly. He wanted to change how we looked at banana memes on campus. He wanted to move the banana memes off of the rot and into our daily lives. He wanted to completely change this. And while he did it through ways I don't agree with, putting people in danger, maintenance people, loopty people, the fact is he did it. He got away with it. He completed his goal, and no one's ever going to find out who he is. From the moment he put on the mask, he became a symbol. To quote Tom Hardy in The Dark Knight Rises, "No one cared who I was until I put on a mask." There are tons of masked social media accounts now, all over Liberty campus. You have the Red Ninja, you have LU Spider-Man, all sorts of different people on campus who are putting on masks and becoming social media stars on Instagram because everyone wants to know who they are. And he set that precedent. He's completely changed our subculture, and he made his goal. He did it. And to quote the great Spider-Man, anyone can wear the mask.